We're live now.
You can FaceTime into my app.
Hey, welcome everybody. Will's dealing with the logistics.
Kids, man. Just bedtime and entering the libraries. You got to toss up which one gets priority. So
I'm really hoping that the stream stays good for the entire 1 hour this time, and we don't get into the stupid choppiness at the end. But it looks like Alex is already starting to get a little choppy.
It's just me.
It has to be because he's just so relaxed right now in his chilly spa outfit.
Hey, I'm calling in from spa here in Brampton. No, quite the opposite.
Ooh,
I am
spa in
sick.
Brampton. Ooh,
So I am just extra layers on.
Welcome everybody. We got a decent amount of people watching right now. We got like 16 people, so that's pretty solid number. I'm happy about that.
I'm getting chirped out already. I don't know if I like this restream. I can see everyone calling me out.
What?
I like it. They're calling out Will. At least Will's not doing typing up names for a giveaway this time.
Still working out the last shoulder injury from the last one.
Hey, Will, we need all those names from the pitch contest into a wheel. Yeah.
Oh, no. All the deck names? There's only one true deck this time.
So I want to start off the stream by saying that today is my nephew's birthday, and he's turned 13.
Happy birthday!
I know, it's so weird for me. He's all grown up. It makes me so happy, though. So I don't know if he's even watching, but it doesn't matter. I'm just happy. All right, so we got a few topics to go over. I also started a chat in the event server. So if people have things they want us to discuss during the live stream, we can go jump into that, assuming we get through our topics and we have leftover time. So we're going to get to the deck tech submission contest thing, I think closer to the end of the live stream.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait till the end.
Wait till the end.
In the beginning, in case
The big reveal at the end.
Yeah. We need to make sure we keep people, because if we do it right now, I know that most of the people are just gonna bail on us, right? Like,
yeah, Jeff totally would bail.
Yeah. Jeff's just like, all right, I'm out of this. I'm done with Genesis now.
Jeff has an amazing track record with contests. Everybody knows it.
I remember when I first started doing the live streams, and I would give away promos, and I'd write everybody who left a comment. I'd write their name on a piece of paper and shuffle them up. And Alex, you won so many of those. It was either you or Steven. Just won every single time. It was ridiculous. All right. So we have a few topics. Some of them are, one of them's on the older side, which was Will's list of cards to talk about and figure out where they stand and why they aren't being reprinted. I think that was the topic.
Or what could possibly, I was trying to hedge my bets and be like, what could potentially be important or could see play ability increase. But I don't know. Do you want to get to that now or?
I don't know.
Alex, I think Alex is a hard no on that one.
No, we're good to go to that one.
There are a few things here that I'm intrigued about, and I do want to address, because they are, I think they're going to come up in players' attention as the game grows.
Yeah.
So I'm totally curious about this, because I know this is definitely going to be a lot more of quizzing Alex. Why is everyone's camera thing flashing? It's weird.
Switches pages. That's what it's been on.
Oh.
No, Will's color is just changing randomly.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's it's just I don't know if Zoom's just messing up. I don't know if it's also showing in the stream or not, or if it's just on my
I can see it. I'm cutting out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Weird. Do I need to
It's you're not really part of the Matrix anymore.
Uh-oh, I'm glitching out.
Oh, dang.
We've lost a Will.
I'm back.
Trying to see that. Hopefully that fixes it. When all else fails, just turn it off and turn it back on again.
The old power rack on. Yep. All right. So
All
what?
right,
So
so-
you want to just dive into this?
I want to talk about Nature's Reclaim. I think that's an interesting one because that is the destroy alterations.
Yeah.
And it's never seen play. I think since the day I printed it, it has never
It has
seen
never seen play.
play.
That's right.
I didn't need to see play yet.
Yeah, because there's never been a solid alteration. I think the most played alterations are... Anyone? Like, what is a played alteration?
Pillars.
Pillars.
Okay.
The odd person who dabbles in the quicksand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walls.
It takes care of itself though. Walls of Fetish, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's really about it.
yeah, I guess for people who don't know what it does, Will, do you want to? I assume you're
Sure, I can show an alpha one. Is
Yeah,
that,
Infernal Pits.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Adam's right. Infernal
is
Pits.
that right? Oh, sorry. I'll put the alpha one away.
So you want to just read it out because it was a little blurry.
Yeah, I went cheap on my camera. It doesn't autofocus. Nature's Reclaim, cast, action speed, 15 aura, destroy target alteration in Nature Reclaim's awareness. It's a 5 chi, and it's got left, forward, right awareness on it.
So let me talk about why this is in the game. When I first started designing, very, very early, like alpha, Walls of Vodhis, not Walls of Vodhis, Fortification at that time was actually good. Like, it was a solid card, so you need a counterplay against it. So Nature's Reclaim came in as counterplay to Fortification. But once we got into the printed version of Alpha, so between late 2015 and the print that happened in 2017, Fortification just saw no play. Like, people just stopped playing with Fortification altogether. So Nature's Reclaim had a purpose there at the beginning, but was just gone when we went into Alpha and moving forward. I have a speculation behind that. Yeah?
It makes sense because, like, Fortification was 10 health.
Yeah.
So, like, you didn't want to waste... That's a lot of turns, especially in Alpha, right?
So my speculation behind... One, like, there aren't many alterations that you need to play against. But even if there were alterations to play against, even if this had a purpose to being your forethought, the 5 chi and action speed are the things that hold it back the most, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. So I would totally, like... I see this as one of those cards that doesn't necessarily need to see reprint. It'll just be redesigned, rebuilt from scratch to, like, an actual proper position. Where would you put it now, Alex, if you were to make this similar card?
This Nature's Reclaim. All right, let me look at my list. All right, so I didn't have it at the top. How would I reprint it now?
Yeah.
So I'd start by looking at... I think I'd probably put it down to a 4 chi type effect.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where I'm looking at. Because you're never going to main board these. Never, never, never.
Yeah.
Unless there was a game-winning... Like, if there's an alteration win con that you had... But then I guess you're still bringing it in on this after this game one, right?
Because you don't know what you're facing that
You don't know what you're facing the first time around, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the short answer is 4 chi. I think that's the starting point. From there, it's testing, then adjusting costs as needed.
Yeah. In the chat, Jared mentions Holy Wall is the only card I can think that hasn't been or isn't reprinted in Origins that really messes with my deck tag. Holy Wall itself isn't getting a direct reprint, but what's that?
I think it was spoiled. Yeah, it was spoiled on the Kickstarter page.
Yeah. Protected by Faith is like the pseudo Holy Wall.
There's actually multiple Holy Wall effects in Origin.
All right, well, spoil some. So
let's go, spoil, Alex.
Is the it prevents damage, but if it's on the 5th slot on the stack, so it has modify stack 5, then it becomes Holy Wall essentially, but not just you. But yeah, it is bounded though, right? Unlike Holy Wall, which is completely
Protected by Faith is bounded to the champion. Yeah. So it's 1 damage, or then it becomes all with a stack of 5. So it means the 5th ability, right?
Yeah.
which is not, it sounds like a lot because we don't stack a lot right now, but that's you and your opponent, right? It's just on the stack. It's not your own abilities. It's right. It's back and forth, right? So it could be your opponent and you, right? So it all adds up.
Yeah, and there are many things that can build up the stack quite quickly.
Yeah, triggers.
Yeah, triggers. Rapier Precision definitely helps you a lot with that. What's another one? Just give us one more from Origins.
So I guess if you're looking for something that could heal, that prevents you or a summon, there's a 5G Vellum one. So at least it's in Vellum. That prevents all damage to you and a summon. I think forward awareness.
Was it forward on top? And
I don't
sides?
remember. I can't fully remember right now. My brain's a little mushy.
If we're talking about the same one, I think it was forward on top of you and then to your sides.
I could go look
maybe
it
even
up.
be a full cross. I don't know.
Right. I'll go look it up.
It was pretty
it's
good.
adjacent. It's adjacent. Prevent all damage
Adjacent.
to you and a target in protective bearer's awareness until end of round.
Yeah.
Now that being said, if you don't have a summon, you won't be able to play that. But it is 5G going down from 7.
Yeah. So why the big shift? Like Holy Wall, as we're seeing, like it's still playable. Why shift it? Why make something that seems very similar down to 5G?
So step 1 Origin was to bring a lot more powerful defensive cards to the game. Because more than not, it's just the game's just been offense.
Yeah.
It's just who can crush the opponent faster.
I
I know. Oh, well, I know. So there's a lot of powerful defensive cards coming in Origins. That being said, this one actually went through a lot of changes. So originally it was like a Holy Wall. This one now does you and a target, which is a double-edged sword because if you don't have a target, that does not, you can't use it.
Yeah.
I still will look forward to the day where they use it. You target your opponent's thing, but you're killing your champion, your opponent in some way, or fashion, or form.
Yeah. Like,
to survive the turn.
fact that it requires a second target also,
Yeah.
like, not only does it make it harder to play, but also makes it more vulnerable, like we saw with Chain Lightning. Because if you can break that chain, then the entire ability fizzles. So it makes you much more exposed. A lot of comments about Alex's gloves.
They love my gloves.
Next time we gotta all just be wearing gloves.
No. Not doing that.
And then going back to Protected by Faith, that's 3-chi, right?
Yeah.
3-chi, and so that replaces direct defense.
Yeah.
And then also can be scaled up to a Holy Wall. And how much aura is it? 9, I believe.
Choice, isn't it?
No,
Is it energy?
it's 8 aura. 8 aura or 3 energy.
Yeah, it's both. So best Vellum 3G to date.
Yeah. So that being said, like even with Holy Wall, if Holy Wall was reprinted in Origins, it'd actually be very like it probably wouldn't be sought after at that point because they're just lower chi cards that are much more desirable. I think a big learning lesson going from where Alpha was for Genesis to where we are today is that in Alpha, you could have defensive cards at the higher chi slots. It was okay at that time. Now, because a lot of those defensive cards were at the higher chi slot, the meta was able to go faster and faster because there was nothing at a lower chi slot that could slow it down. And now it's at a point where, yeah, we gotta get those defensive stuff in the 3s and 4s and 5s. So
Bring it down. Yeah, interesting.
I think that was just a big lesson learned when it comes to the game. All right.
Yeah, so Nature's Reclaim is where we were at,
Yeah.
which also ties in because I had on here, which is the same. It's Reckless Demolition was the second sort of iteration of Destroy and Alteration.
Yeah.
But it was modal, so it had more playability, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure.
And yet it still wasn't played. Well, the whole idea there was like if the card could be playable against alterations, but also not in case there's no alterations to target.
Yeah.
Then it's still a worthwhile card to throw in your main board, because this was at the time when we did not think there would be a sideboard in the game.
Right.
So having cards that were having multiple options like that was much more valuable, right? So that was my thought process. Why isn't it being played?
I think the damage is too low, even though it has those multiple effects. It comes back to really alterations aren't played that much, and when they are, you usually just either ignore them or you go around them. Other instances include like the pillars, for example. They usually come down, and on that turn they deal the issue you have with them. The damage dealt is dealt that turn, so then reacting to them afterwards is almost, what's the point?
That's true. Yeah, because that was the one thing I didn't expect from the pillars. I expected them to be like dropped, and there's a difference between how you envision the game being played and then the reality of the way the game being played. The reality is, when you're playing the game, you're just trying to win. So when you drop the pillar, you just want it to deal as much of the extra damage as possible. But the way I wanted it to be played is, you drop a pillar, now you have this entire game state effect change, and you're trying to keep people closer to the pillars to take extra damage. But no, that's not the way it was done. Yeah, so even if it was dealing 3 damage, so Reckless Demolition, 6 chi, deals either 2 earth damage for 6 energy, I believe, or does Demolition
4 energy.
4 energy. Okay, that's not that bad. Not as bad as I thought, at least. And then the other option was Demolition 8, I believe.
8,
which dealt 8 damage to an alteration.
For 4 energy as well.
For 4 energy. So, yeah, it's the same cost on both options. So even if it dealt 3 earth damage, do you think at that point, then it's just Shadow Claw plus a little bit more?
Yeah, exactly. I could see it being put in, or at least tried to be tested with, as an Earth deck. Because realistically, if you look at the elementals, I think Earth is the least played.
Yeah.
For Earth. Like, I mean, Meteorite is Earth damage, is it not?
Yeah, but you don't. But
you don't play it for Earth.
Meteorite as an Earth deck.
Yeah.
You play a Meteorite as a Meteorite deck.
Well, wasn't there Erica Landslide Earth deck for a while?
No, it's because you can't. I don't know if somebody played it, but if they were, good on them.
Well, I think also Landslide's just Earth damage again.
Landslide's just is too much aura cost to be trying to multiply it for 1 extra damage.
Yeah. I never tried. I actually haven't sat down to make a very super thorough Erica deck. I played her a lot during the early Raise days of playtesting, and then the community kind of just took her over and started playtesting her a lot more. Yeah, I remember. So, Earth decks. Well, Water deck was kind of the least played, even though it has.
It has the best branding summon, right? For the chi slot, but
and then it just
there's just no other water cards except Tsunami.
No.
That's the actual answer.
Okay. Currently.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. We're only looking at today.
Nah, we're looking at 10 years in the future right now.
Oh, okay. Well,
obviously.
Water Elemental's the best. I mean, the water deck is the best 10 years from now. Everybody knows that.
All right.
Yeah, so I really do think a lot of those alteration destructions will come in if and when the game gets to a point that alterations are more meta relevant.
Right.
But until we get to that point, I just don't. It's the same thing you have on your list, Proskinesis. I think it's the same thing. Proskinesis is the one that destroys an enchantment. So you actually get to choose, unlike Disenchant, which is sacrifice. So your opponent gets
sacrifice,
but same thing. Like, those enchantments just aren't powerful enough to require counterplay to be main boarded or even put into your forethoughts. There's no reason for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
I think Disenchant targeting yourself could see play if it gets like a modification to it. If it's not necessarily just
can't target itself right now, right?
But with rain.
Target champion. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Right, wrong. Oh, they must sacrifice a skill. Yeah, whoever you're targeting has to sacrifice a skill of their choice.
Side conversation. So I playtested Brain, and it was not nearly as broken as I thought it was. There were a few niche moments where I'm like, wow, this works differently than I expected, because you don't play the abilities during your main phase. So just say you're playing a Tsunami, you don't have to wait till your main phase. Oh, well, you don't play it during the summons main phase. You play
yes,
during
you play during your main
phase.
phase.
So you
Yes.
position your summons where you want them to be, and then start dropping Tsunamis from these weird different directions. But it was like, I expected it to be so much more broken. I was like, is this really comparable to Nubia? And then after playing it, it's like, you know what? I actually think it's a little bit weaker than Nubia still.
Now, were you casting the Tsunamis through a stone protector that then blinked across the board and then wiped out something from...
So there are little niche things like that are definitely really interesting. And I think I did a very, very streamlined deck.
Yeah.
It wasn't the only thing I was trying to run through Brain's ability was Tsunami. I feel bad because we're chatting about all this. I don't know how many people in chat even know what we're talking about. Brain
well, we can talk about it.
Yeah, Brain is the champion that the championship winner, Sydney William, is designing. So I don't know the stats off the top of my head. Like 21 health, 140 aura, 0 energy reduction.
It's pretty good.
Forward awareness.
Yeah.
Axon Phage. And then you got basic attack 1, I assume? Some random attack.
Yeah, basic attack 1. Basic attack 1.
And then you get Hive Mind, which allows you to drop a mind counter on a summon that's adjacent to you. And then your other ability, I don't know what it's called, but whenever you play a non-beckon ability, you can play it through those summons as though they were you.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's action speed to mind control, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hive mind, whatever.
So that was really awesome. The double being able to position your summons and then use your main phase, it gives you more mobility as a champion. Yeah.
And as a caster, right? Like you can do more things because now you're positioning more pieces, and if you have multiple hive minds, and you can decide where is this spell actually going to hit, right?
Yes.
So
so Slack, someone in chat is asking, have we started the deck text? No, we'll get to those in a little bit. Right now we're just regular.
We're catching up on a topic from like 6 weeks ago.
Yes. Yeah. But so the thing that really excites me about this champion is potentially using cards that normally you can only target your opponent with, but then finding ways to target yourself with them.
Because everyone want to do this.
I don't think there's any cards that currently exist like that, but the door is open to do something like that.
Yeah.
And then the other side to it was how could you take advantage of doing this to your opponent's summons, like dropping a mind counter on your opponent's summons? And
is that an option?
It just says target summon.
Oh. Well, now I gotta go back to Brain.
Yeah. So there were some things about it that were really interesting. I actually thought that its affiliation combinations were what holds it back. I personally would have loved to see it embellum Phage.
I just want to send bolt shots from across the arena.
I was gonna say, luckily it's not Thymos. Thymos is where we drop your Brook, give it a mind counter, send your Brook out. Oh.
Yeah. It's definitely a really, really interesting champion.
So I did have fun the first time. The one time I played it was dropping so it was a different version. It wouldn't work now because you have to actually select and use your action speed to actually hive mind. But before, it would the summon just came down already mind controlled, right?
Okay.
So you could summon a Chrono Walker behind you and then use temporal relocation through the Chrono Walker to temporal relocate yourself.
Yeah.
And then on the stack, do whatever you wanted to. And then the decoy would swap So you go back to your main starting point, and then they'd have a chrono on the other side, right? So you kind of like go in, do a bunch of attacks, and then dash back out or decoy back out.
So
But that doesn't work.
Classic old fashioned. It didn't work.
Of course not. That's what testing is for.
Steven in chat actually said this, which is, again, it comes back to what I was saying, which is, if you drop a mind counter on some of your opponent's summons and they go to attack you, you can now use temporal relocate through that summon to temporarily relocate yourself out of the attack. That's actually, I love it. I love it.
Multiplayer just got real.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this champion. I think it's gonna be very, very silly. I'm just curious, can it also be promoted up to that serious competitive meta stance? But where it stands right now, I mean, it's Axon. It already has a bit of an advantage.
What? Axon has an advantage? No.
The analytics have proven it. I kind of concede here.
It's only taken us 3 years, chat. 3 years, half years.
If we had a 2020 championship, maybe we would have got there a little bit sooner. Blame it on COVID.
That's easy enough to do. Was there anything else off this list that we wanted to mention, or? Because we talked about the alteration, destruction ones. We talked about skills, removing skills. So cathedrals is actually one that I'm interested in. I think that, that ability that's on the cathedrals is a well-known, powerful ability in lots of card games, and yet for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to have that same amount of power in Genesis, which is basically look at the top 3 cards and put them back in any order.
I think it's
so. I'm interested to see what happens.
The setup on it was just too much. Yeah. You got to drop an alteration, you got to drop a summon on top of it, readjust the timeline, and then draw into those cards.
Right.
Like, it's good if you know you're going to be using some of that energy, but if, I think the best play for it, the best one I could think of, is you drop cathedrals, you drop a summon on it, look at your top 3, readjust those, and then play dedicated studies.
Okay.
But all you're doing is just making a slightly more efficient dedicated studies. And again, it's really what it comes down to for a lot of these cards that are on your list or that we've talked about. The chi slot was just wrong for them. Cathedrals would be a much more reasonable card at a lower chi slot. I don't even know what it is.
5.
I don't even care. I just know at a lower chi slot, it would be more reasonable. Because once there's a really, really clear separation between what needs to be in a 7 or 8, what can exist in a 5 and 6, and everything else should be a 3 or 4.
That's fair.
These things that require setup, that are niche, that are combo-y, should be on the lower chi slot, because if you start putting them in your 5s or 6s, that's where you start getting some of the cards that stabilize your deck. And then when you start putting them in the 7 and 8s, those are the cards that are supposed to either win you the game or severely stop your opponent from winning the game.
Right.
This is part of the reason, I mean, we've beaten it to death, but this is the big reason why a Demon Scrolls just doesn't work.
Yeah.
If it was at a lower chi, it would be a phenomenal card. The thing that's holding it back is that it's at 8 chi.
Yep.
Even at a 7 chi, it would be a significantly more playable card.
It's true.
Yeah.
That being said, do you guys want me to go run down my list of all of our failured cards that we failed to reprint? Do a quick run of what we definitely missed.
How many we got?
This is my top tier. So my top tier is gonna start with, this is the new one. You guys realize this, that we didn't print in Golfing Rank. Whoops. That one's definitely a whoops.
But we have Fury, right?
We do have Fury.
Yeah.
So Fury, I think, is a more stable alternative to it.
For sure.
Is Fury 5G though?
Yes. Yeah.
It's different. That's the 5G to 4G, big difference. We just talked about this.
But Fury is always AoE. Where in Golfing Wrath, only AoE if you're in Desperation.
And desperation was sort of we're not sure on that one.
Biggest overlooked one, Leo Onwad.
That's true.
Oh yeah, it's not.
Leo Onwad is the biggest one.
This guy.
It's for you made it relevant, Will.
I have tattered remains on mine.
Malevolent Spirit.
So Malevolent Spirit was originally planned for Origins. And the artwork for it was actually already started, and it just never.
Oh yeah, I did
finished.
see that. Yeah.
Oh, oops.
No, that's all right. All right, Death Eater.
Yeah, that one I definitely feel needs to be reprinted.
All right. This one we know about. Mind reading.
That's an invasion spoiler for us. Mind reading.
Mind reading.
Mind reading.
So I have this one on my list, but I guess technically it doesn't need to be on this list. Rebound, because we do technically have a new one coming, but it's definitely a more playable one, but it doesn't follow the pattern of all the rest. It goes up in chi and becomes more playable.
It's in a weird position because it's not as situational or not as niche as people would assume it is.
Yeah.
That's why it's okay being out of 5 or 6.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I think Rebound literally can only be played by new. That is my perception of Rebound as a card. This specific one.
I ran 1 or 2 in a Raha deck back in the day.
That's 25 aura. How can you justify?
It's a desperation move.
Okay, I can agree with that.
It's worst case scenario, the Primordial Foes is coming in for the kill or something like that. And it's valuable. Yeah.
All right, let's keep going down this list so we don't waste too much time. Pale Fox.
Yeah.
I brought that one up recently. All right, this is a strange one because at first glance you wouldn't look at it. It's jump, because you would just say, well, we have leap, right?
Okay.
Yeah, this one came up. That was the topic that came up this week. Was
but
jump
Purine would rather have the unique awareness of jump.
Okay, I see that. It's niche enough, but
it's niche, but
if
it's
purely because of the awareness, then I feel like there are other options. It's not necessary to see reprint because 90% of the time, 95% of the time, leap is just a better option. It's
I agree.
A more stable option.
I'll lump these next two in together. They're just here because of Steve-O. Steve-O's been pushing them. Galen Torrance. I don't personally believe in them, but he has been on a crusade telling everybody that they're good cards. So
I would say if it depends on how fatigued.
Depends. Yeah.
I agree, and that's the only reason why I think it does deserve to be on here. Is it might be a good support card to go with fatigue.
Yeah.
And the last one is more a Sid hatred card, Air Shield.
Oh, I do like Air Shield in my long summons. Yeah.
I don't like that it exists. I believe
it
should be reprinted. Air Shield was scheduled for Origins as well.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
The original card list for Origins before you came onto the project.
It's all my fault.
All Alex's fault.
You know what? I gave it to the Future Leaguers. The Future Leaguers, Will must have been Will. Will said, give me that card. Yeah, I'm blaming. Pass it to Will. Pass it to Will.
We don't get reprint notice.
Yeah, it was... the other option, so the whole entire point is Air Shields, there are other cards that are comparable that are high value. I think even Protected by Faith, you can compare it to Air Shield. Is it because Protected by Faith can target someone, right? It isn't just you.
No, Protected by Faith is just you.
So it depends. It's more so Air Shield is bit on the pricey side for what it does. So it's debatable that something comparable can be created that's on formula and is more reasonable.
But it's also unbounded, right?
Yeah. So a lot of those cards I do think either they should see direct reprint or see
modification or something.
More playable version of it be released. I agree with most of that list. I think Leo should be reprinted in the correct stats.
Interesting.
I think he's off formula.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't remember his stats off the top of my head.
3-2?
I think so.
4G or 5G?
4.
4.
Yeah.
So is the issue? So what do you think is the issue with his stats? Off the top
I
of your head?
don't think decay was put into the formula properly at first.
I still agree. I don't know if it's put in right. Still,
Yeah.
as a negative buff on yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, Will, I don't know. Like it's not a big enough reduction on the formula. So it's because essentially the reason why Leo is a 3/2 is because you essentially have to give it an extra HP.
You do, so it lasts another run.
To have it last as a 2/2.
Yeah.
It's essentially a 2/2, right? You play it, it's exerted, it's a 2/2. But then you give it 1 HP, and now because you're making the formula jump to a 3rd HP, its cost is so exponentially increased, and then the decay decrease is not probably balancing that off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Ben of the North here. I would prefer if mechanically different cards always had a different name. They will. They do.
Yeah.
They do. I don't know.
I think that was in response to like if we remade Air Shield, it wouldn't be Air Shield.
Yeah.
Still, it would be
Yeah.
Air Shield Plus.
The two options are really like either a direct reprint, which is literally the exact same name, everything about the card's exactly the same, or making.
I can give a spoiler.
Yeah.
Shoulder Throw is being reprinted in Origins, but it's not Shoulder Throw.
Yeah.
Shoulder Throw. Oh yeah.
So instead of doing the 2 damage and then the toss, it's doing the toss and the 2 damage.
Yeah.
Now it allows you to toss angels.
Crazy.
Hey, given how much I like wrist throw, I do think it's crazy. All right.
Oh yeah, wrist throw is amazing.
Yeah.
It also didn't see reprint. It was in Rays.
It was in OP.
In OP.
Yeah.
OP.
Yeah.
OP.
OP.
All right.
All right. We've got almost 20 minutes. Do we want to? I don't know how long the deck tech submission stuff is. Do we want to just jump into that?
Yeah, let's go into deck tech stuff.
All right. So
you want to avoid the other topic?
Which
other topic?
Keep them for the next time.
Another time.
Yeah.
All right. If you're in the chat, I'm allowed to go. I'm allowed to make fun of them, right? That's the rules.
Do we need to put a warning? Warning: the character Alex will now be portrayed by Alex.
We've gotten permission to talk about these decks.
We did get permission? Wait.
But I don't think the fine print said you can destroy them and trash those decks. You could talk about them.
So we got, I'm going to throw this up. We got a few deck tech submissions. How many were there total? 9?
Oh, so many.
So Jeffrey, Damien, Steven, David, Darren, Jordan, Alan, another David, and Matt. So we went through these. We picked our top 3 for different reasons. And then, we're just going to go into them. I didn't really plan this out so well. My whole thing was, originally I was like, okay, we're going to keep it a surprise and we're going to surprise each other with what our answers are going to be. And it's like, yeah, we should probably
not surprise. We all picked the same one.
So it was funny though because we all picked like our first number 1 and our number 2, and all of our number 2s were the exact same. That was so the way it'll go, we'll talk about the ones we picked, our number 1s, and then why we picked those, and then each of those persons gonna get a welcome to J Lara booster pack. So yay, prizes.
Woo!
All right, Will, do you want to start us off with your winner?
Yes. Okay. So I going through all of them. I was sort of looking for something, a little bit different, or really good synergy, or just something that sort of seemed like everything was cohesive, and not sure how strong it is in play, or how effective it is like on like a meta competitive level, but I loved the synergy and how all the parts of the Yamaraja deck work together to show taking a dragon that's very expensive and making it very cheap to get a dragon still sort of on the board was a very interesting line of play. So that's using Dark Passage to sort of kill the dragon once your Yamirage is on the board, and then because of Yamirage's abilities, it becomes basically like the dragon. So that was pretty cool. I thought all the parts of the deck actually worked really well together to make it a very playable. And it's a deck that, you know, when Yamirage was in Future League, I was playing it all the time, and I was like really enjoying it. But then once it came to actually like building decks in paper, it didn't really, it just wasn't quite, the strength wasn't there to compete with like what was already printed. But it is definitely a fun card to play with.
Yeah. So my 2 cents about this is that a lot of the things I feel were making this deck difficult to play originally when it first came out are now here to are at lower rarities to make it easier to try to build. The Yamaduta, Lulu, and Kabus.
Yeah. All down. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes this deck a lot more accessible. I've seen people try to make Yamaracha decks all the time, and I love that people are still trying. Like it's once someone gets it and it works, it's gonna be such a fun deck to play against.
It has that sort of Voltron style gameplay where you try to put all these skills on the top of each other, and I've done that. It just my Yamaraja died the next turn. By the time I did it.
Yeah.
So,
Alex, you want to add 2 cents to this?
2 cents. I got many cents. I went in with this with as much bias as possible.
Fingers. How many cents? 5? Hey!
All of the cents.
So I honestly, Sid didn't give us any instructions on how to base these cards out of criteria. So some people I based it off of their facial hair, based it off their presentation of the cards. So I also do enjoy a DC Minions deck, but you know I have one. I say nobody got a perfect record for me. So the one negative comment I put down here is I played this deck already against him, so it wasn't new to me from him.
Harsh.
Ooh,
wow.
That's the only thing holding it back. The fact that
I've seen you played the deck against me, so I already know it. Didn't excite me. That's all. Otherwise, it was perfectly perfect. It was fine. It was flawless.
Do we have are the decks? Sorry, the chat saying are the decks up there? Can they see them or no?
It should be up on the stream. You should be able to see the Yamaraja deck at least, because I'm just streaming my screen. But as for the links to these, you can find this one on Reddit. If you go to the Genesis BOC subdomain in Reddit, you can find this deck there. So that's the thing I really like about this contest is that all of these decks are on their platform. So this one is the Reddit one. It's funny that all the 3 decks that won are on different platforms. All right. Cool. Let's move on to Alex's winner.
So my winner was I don't know his code name. I only got the person's name. Should I say the person's name, or do you have the code name? His name was Lao Hu. So my points for it was a deck that utilized Xifang with a proper explanation on why Xifang was good. He then had giant Sphinx Eater, which is an all-star. I agree with his statement.
Affiliated character.
But the most unique card. When I look at all the other decks, there was no surprise card in any other decks except for this one, which focused on Barik Naga. And I've never seen anybody play Barik Naga except for myself. I've played it once. I played one time. I played a Barik Naga deck, and that's it. So having that came out, and it surprised me. The one negative point I saw in there was Angel's Embrace. I'm a 100% anti-Angel Embrace player. Anybody who put Angel Embrace in their deck, other than this one, this one got balanced out because it surprised me. It was the only deck that surprised me. That's your negative point, Angel's Embrace.
You just don't like stats, eh? You don't like statistics. Costs.
What are the
savings?
statistics? You spent
4 health for 10 aura.
Using your turn action, not playing any turn economy, no damage. Hey, no.
So yeah, follow this person, Jalarian Tiger, on TikTok. My things were the exact same. So my favorite 3G is Zyfang. My favorite 4G is
Oh, great. We're gonna get
so,
all Cy-Fang decks going forward now because they're favorite card.
So there's definitely I love that, and then the Verknaga it definitely took me for a surprise. I like that this deck didn't lean on things that are traditionally seen a lot in deck building. So congrats. I love this one. Will, your 2 cents?
I mean, I will counter Alex any day on Angel's Embrace. So let's just put that out there into the ether. Yeah, I mean, as I love playing Erica too. Like Erica's definitely a fun champion. I wish they had just had a little more health, but hey, it is what it is. We're there. Hence the Angel's Embrace. But I mean, I think one of the coolest things is Verknaga was a downgrade in rarity again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that going into the uncommon slot, I think, actually gives that card a lot of life. And it's got a strong ability, right? Like you either pay the 4 or you're paralyzed.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, one of those things I really love about J2 is that so many of those cards that didn't see play because they were in the rare slot are now seeing a lot more play, a lot more excitement around them. So, yay, J2 is a good set. All right, and then my deck, well, the winner from my side will be Malik's Monsters. My big thing around this, so first off, I love that, he's sporting off his alpha Malik. That's just awesome. A great job. Scheming Skeleton, if you're not following him on YouTube, go follow and go check out this deck tech and, read the comments, add a little bit more. So I like that he was also leaning on the Idris Monsters, which is a deck that, I designed. I don't know if other people had built it before I did, but I remember when I came to Steve-O for the first time and started playing with it, and Primordial Forces and Malicious Persuasions. It was just ridiculous. So a lot of niche cards here that are just really cool to play. Death Eaters, Formosans. I really love the nickname of OK for Ogorikokori.
Yes.
That was
finally a good nickname for that card.
Finally. I appreciate that so much. That was such a big win that came out of this video. And I like that there's some experimenting here, like using Ogoi, using Brawler's Momentum.
Yeah.
And then there's just some levels of stability to here. You're still using the Malicious Persuasions. You're still using Landslide. I think this is a good foundational deck. Like, this is a great place to start, play test with it, tweak it, and see how it builds out moving forward. It's just, I thought it was, for a deck tech, it's perfect in my perspective. So, Alex, your 2 cents?
So this was my number 2 pick. But despite that, there's a lot of negative I gotta bring up. I always love Steven Telton's deck tech videos. I think it was amazing video quality. But there was definitely 2 cards that I dislike, which are okay.
Okay.
But from your perspective, I would agree with you. I think this is at a first playthrough. Once you play it, I think you'll get rid of the OKs, and I think you'll get rid of the Brawler's Momentum, because Brawler's Momentum doesn't make sense in your Summoner deck, but it might make sense in your Fighter deck.
Did you watch the end of the video? He brought in a bunch of attacks at the end of the video.
Yeah.
I don't think you finished it.
I watched the whole video. Not enough to make it work.
All right. That's fair. Will, your 2 cents?
Yeah, I'm with Alex. The OKs, I love the name, and I will be using that going forward for sure. But if those OKs were Baruchs, then you would have had me at Baruch. So but that's an easy way to get me. Throw a Baruch in the deck and make it work.
You just put in Baruchs and Zyfangs, and then you got me and Will right there.
Boom, 2 wins.
Yeah, no, that was great. There were a lot of other deck techs that came up. So again, just some mentions here. If you're on YouTube, you got Shockwave's video, Great White North's, Scheming Skeleton we already saw here, and then Jay Pasito. So go follow all of them. I will throw all of these links. I'm actually going to throw up into the event server right now. So if you're part of the event server, they're all going to go up in general chat. So
Jay Pacino would have wowed me if he had chosen to throw his Oni art onto the table because he used Tabletop Simulator. That would have been the extra points for Jay.
Yeah, he was hacking the Tabletop Simulator. Like he was just like, oh, gotta throw this alpha art in here and throw this in here. He's like, what is this? What is this guy? I like the different approaches though, right? Like some people were, tweaking like a meta deck and trying to like really like make it a strong deck, right? Or like I know Shock Matt was like trying to tweak some of the stuff that he was using, right? Massa was just trying to see how many bolt shots can I put in a deck, right? Because this is a great way to try those things and figure out those numbers, right?
Yeah. I think overall, I'm just really, really happy that a lot of people tried different approaches. And we didn't just see the standard like meta decks or there was, I don't think, well, there was a Nubia deck that came about, but like I think the easy win decks weren't there per se. So thank you everyone for participating. I will. There
was one I want to call out that I don't think you called out before. There was Genesis BOC Europe. And I really liked his deck, but so he gave himself self restrictions. He said he took the starter deck and he said I'm improving on the starter deck, but I'm not putting more than 2 rares in a deck. And while looking at this deck, even though he self-imposed it, I'm like, I could easily see myself playing this deck despite the self-imposed things. On the negative side, wait for us to impose restrictions on your deck building.
Yeah, was that the one that used the starters plus a box? Was that what?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I think on his content or on the deck, I think the starter comes with like 12 baboons, and just throw all those baboons in your deck.
So the one thing I would note to everyone who's submitting ideas moving forward, you make sure you're actually filling out the form to submit your deck tags. I had a few people who had to ping them after they submitted it. I saw it online somewhere, and I was like, did you post this? Like, did you actually fill out the Google form? So go to that part on the website. It's under events, deck tag submission, and actually fill out that Google form and submit your deck tag so we actually have it official in there. All right, so let's talk about restrictions for the next one. I didn't have anything directly planned just yet. I had some ideas, like we could explore the different cities. We could focus on eliminating certain cards from the card pool. There's also ideas of something I want to do much later down, which is changing the chi balance on the deck. So saying that instead of making it 250 points, it's 200 points or something like that. So there are a couple of ideas. I don't know if you two have a preference of where you want to start.
Well, you got
now I'm just thinking of all the different options. We could do like 3 color decks.
I keep it simple right now. We're still in the beginning of the contest. Come on. We don't want to get crazy.
All right. All cards that start with J. No.
So which cards were our winners? We had a Malik,
Erica, and Yamaraja Kendra.
All right. So no present. None of those 3.
Don't say Adara.
None of those 3. None of those 3 next week.
All right.
I don't want to see those
3. So completely open deck design, but you just cannot use Erica, Malik, or Kendra.
And I obviously don't want to see any of the other decks that were already presented.
Yeah.
I don't even want to see a single card that I saw in this contest presented. But that's what I mean. You could try to win those 2 over there.
He won't remember. He'll be fine. He won't remember at all. Just
I think extra points are going to definitely be rewarded to people who think outside of the decks that we've been seeing a lot, especially when it comes to meta play. So the more unique, the more niche cards that you're trying to use and try to make them come to light, that's going to give you extra points.
I'm a sucker for synergy, so anything that has synergies in it, I'd like to see that.
Now I got to figure out a prize pool. What? I have a few options. I mean, we could do raise packs.
Alex is great at handing out prizes.
I don't know. I don't want to know what Alex has got to commit me to. You know, I have a bunch of foil cards signed by Damian.
Hey.
So, a random signed foil card from J2.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
All right.
So we got the
Can I
prize pool.
go,
We got the
go to all my aliases and start submitting decks?
That is going to show up on the website. Give me about within an hour after this live stream ends. I'll have that all up and ready, and the deck tech starts tonight. And you got until end of day Monday at midnight or 11:59 technically. That gives us Tuesday to review them and go over them. So, yeah, that is that's it for the deck tech submission. We got a few minutes left. Any last announcements?
No, I think
nothing for me.
All right. I think that's everything for now then.
Yeah.
Well, let's just end the stream early? Or awkward silence for...
Well, hey, if you're going to put a question in the chat right now.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even see if there were any...
I do like Jeff's comment. We can just wait for Alex's prizes for like 14 days.
All right. So one of them, this one from Old Men of the North. One thing I love about Genesis is all the summons with names I have no idea how to pronounce properly. Thematically, it seems like many of these summons come from Eastern folklore. So I don't want to address that question just yet, but to you two, what is the most difficult card in Genesis to pronounce for you?
Apocastasis.
No, there's one that I get messed up a lot. Let me try to think what it is. What's it called?
Otin.
Oh.
We gotta start getting nicknames for them.
So Zombie Wolf and Zombie Lion.
Oh yeah, Payunwada is
Unwada.
That's the one I can't get.
Zombie Wolf.
Yeah. This is a zombie house.
Zombie Lion. Okay.
We gotta get a card that's like some sort of cherub or something like that, and then it works well with OK, and then you'd have OK and Cupid. Yeah.
Behemoth? Oh, there's someone saying the Behemoth. Alhamat.
Yeah.
I find that one.
Yep. I know Lulu Kokore was definitely difficult for me to pronounce at first, and then Damian was like, "Oh, I know this creature," and then pronounced it for me. I'm like, "Oh, awesome."
Lulu. Yeah.
All in.
All in.
What was it? The Lightless Tipicina? Someone was doing a live stream, didn't know how to pronounce it, and called it John Cena.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's a good one.
Scheming's asking what he needs to replace his brawlers with. I don't think you do. I think you're fine, Alex.
You can replace it. If
literally anything.
Shadow's Claw.
You can replace it with Shadow's Claw. Shadow's Claw is more likely to win you the game than the Brawler's Momentum will. I do agree. I actually agree with that. You could also just replace it with more summons if you're going heavy on the summon side. But most likely you need more energy to go with that.
Find some rejuvenating springs to balance out your Death Eaters, and you're good to go.
No.
All in. Nice. Yeah, I think play test it as is, and then make little tweaks. See how many of those brawler momentums are actually useful, and then pull them out as necessary. Because you may be better at playing a card than Alex is, and Alex's opinion is not the end all.
Alex can hear us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take my rage out on Will after this video.
Don't we have another meeting after this?
Yeah, on tabletop. You're not winning a game, Will.
Act like the old days.
All right. I think that's everything for this week. I'm gonna just throw up the closing screen. We've got a whole bunch of Patreon members now. It's like over 200 Patreon members. It's crazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
You need to record yourself saying all their names. Then at the end, it fades, and then it sounds like you're saying them all, but it's just a recording.
Yeah. No. Ideally, it needs to be said like a poker rap. Obviously.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There was a request for a poker rap for all the names of the Genesis summons. I forgot about that a while ago.
Oh my God.
The country song, like from the Animaniacs days. Did I just show my age? Oh no.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.